Cowboys as overhyped. I also have the Jaguars in that bucket. They won 13 games last year. If you ask Joe Public on the street, hey, how many games did the Jags win last year? I bet you nobody could remember. They won 13 games and hosted a playoff game. They lost to the Buffalo Bills. But I have the Jags as a little overhyped. They come back down to earth. They could still win the division. I don't think they will. And then...
So, we're evaluating how good the Jaguars can be based on asking random people on the street how many games they won? First off, how is that overhyped if we're saying people don't even know how good they actually were last season? Isn't that the opposite of being overhyped? Does that really make sense? How can they be overhyped if we're using an example of people not even knowing? If anything, they're being slept on. If anything, they're being overlooked, not overhyped. Before I dive deeper, I want to extend a request to all the Jacksonville Jaguars fans out there. Please, please, please do not forget to subscribe and watch the full-length video, because that is without question the best way to support this channel. It allows us to keep having the most impartial, well-reasoned, and transparent conversations about the Jags. Your support makes a massive difference, and I truly, truly appreciate it. The Jaguars are not overhyped. They are an ascending team. I've been firm on this. I'm not going to sit here and say they're the best team or that they're going to be unstoppable. I'm not coming with that energy because these things take time. When you get a new coach, a new quarterback, or both, I put you on a 3-year timeline. That's the way I personally like to look at things. I did the same with the Chargers and Harbaugh. First 2 years had definite success despite bad injury luck, but still some great moves. By the third season, you cannot feel any higher about the Chargers. The offensive line should be great, they have weapons now, their defense is legit. Year 3 is when everything comes together. The Jaguars bringing in Liam Cohen to finally right this ship, year 1 was already a smashing success. To me, they performed at an accelerated rate compared to what you should realistically expect when bringing in a brand new coach to reformat an entire team and get your superstar quarterback on track. There's always going to be growing pains, whether you're a veteran or a rookie. Bringing in a new coach is a big deal. It's not some easy, seamless transition. There are obstacles. So you have year 1. Year 1 is figuring things out. Where are we? What do we have? Liam Cohen is in the process of analyzing who Trevor Lawrence is. Even just from a coach-quarterback relationship standpoint, you have to figure out who the guy is. You've watched all the film, but you need to see who he is in the room during conversations, when you're going over film and challenging him on throws. You need to see how he reacts. Does he ask follow-up questions? Does he challenge you? Does he agree or disagree? Who is he? That alone is so important. There are a million different ways that interaction can unfold, and you don't know until you're in the room for weeks and weeks. You also need to figure out what you can improve upon, what you can help him grow out, what you need to minimize, what works with your offensive philosophy versus what works with his preferences. That takes time, more than a year, but the brunt of it happens in year 1. Now year 2, you have a foundation to build off of. You know who this guy is. You know what this team is and what it needs. You know the direction you want to take it. That's year 2. Now you have concrete moves and decisions. If you're lucky enough to have flexibility with salary cap and draft picks, which the Jags have, you build off that foundation. Now you have continuity, understanding, and momentum to build from. Doesn't mean it's going to be perfect or instantly lead to an AFC Championship or Super Bowl. That's not how it always works. But you have something to build off of. Then by year 3, you really know your quarterback. Trevor really understands his coach. The offense is fleshed out. You realize exactly where you need to upgrade and where you're strong enough to let players go to acquire other pieces. The most recent example is the Los Angeles Chargers. You see that timeline and trajectory. On that 3-year timeline, year 3 has been without a doubt the most excited any Chargers fan should feel. And year 2 for the Chargers would have been way more exciting if they hadn't been decimated by injuries. If their offensive line had been even remotely competent, that team is a lot better. That's obvious. So, 3-year timeline with the Jags. There's no overhype here whatsoever. Whatsoever. If the Jaguars stay healthy and don't get decimated by injuries or bad luck, they're going to be an incredibly competitive team. They're going to be an incredibly competitive team and continue to be an ascending one. Sometimes it's really that simple. Sometimes we have to do all the deep dives and unpack the narrative. Sometimes I have to bring up clips from other coaches or players or commentary, or go through the data, deep balls, pressure rates, passer rating against the blitz, pass block win rate. Sometimes none of that matters. Some of it is just basic logic. Some of it is just basic understanding of how these things work, and understanding the trajectory. Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback. Whether you want to debate if he's great, elite, special, or generational, it doesn't matter. You can admit he's a good quarterback. He's not a bad quarterback. He's not a non-starter in the NFL. He's a good quarterback at the bare minimum. And Liam Cohen is a good coach at the bare minimum. I think he's awesome, and I've said that a billion times, but at the very least you have to admit he's a good coach. So you have a good coach with a good quarterback, and that alone puts you in a great situation. The level of the coach and quarterback builds beyond great to elite to special. Rounding out the roster with talent makes you an awesome team, a bona fide top team. So we can downplay the Jags all we want, but it doesn't change reality. I really love that they're in the overhyped category when they're not even remotely discussed. It's funny because the Cowboys are discussed non-stop. Caleb Williams and the Bears are discussed non-stop. The Broncos are discussed but not necessarily in a positive light. The Jags are simply not discussed, yet somehow they're overhyped. That doesn't make any sense. What does the word hype even mean then? I don't even know. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Jacksonville Jaguars? Are they overhyped? Was last season a fluke? Even though it was based on concrete moves they made, that's the thing. I won't go on another long rant, but if the Jags had just come out of nowhere with the same team and same coaching staff and had the success they had, I could understand the skepticism. But they made concrete moves and concrete hires that directly led to a more positive, improved outcome. And we think that's somehow a fluke? How does that make sense? It doesn't. It just doesn't. Let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. Whether you agree with me or disagree, let's get into some discussions, get into some fights, but ultimately let's just have some fun. Please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, it really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.